All right, welcome back everyone. This is the Happy Toolbox, and today I'll be going over something a little bit different. Normally we stick to 3D modeling, animation, and rendering tutorials, but we've had quite a few requests asking how we went about and created our soft vinyl toy that we sell on thehappytoolbox.com in our merch section. So I'm going to break that down. This is something I had quite a little bit of frustration with when I was doing research myself. There's not a ton of good resources out there, or they're super dated. So I'm just going to break down my process, prices I paid, back and forth between a factory, and kind of the final result. So let's jump in. I'm just kidding. Everyone was like, whoa, what's he talking about? This is super dated. All right, let's get into the actual good stuff. So today I'm going to be going over the concept, the model creation, how I went about that, the factory process, which is kind of the meatier part of the whole thing, the back and forth, the price breakdowns, etc., and then just the finalization of the toy, how I received it in the mail, and what I ended up doing with it. So let's start with the concept. So this is fairly straightforward. Everyone and their mother probably has an idea for a toy. I just wanted to go over a few notes. So here's a sketch I did when I initially was creating this concept for a toy and the logo that kind of went hand in hand. As you can see, I had some where maybe I had a little wrench, I had a screwdriver, I had his face on one side or the other. And these are really good things to think through when you're just sketching. I mean, do you want the face to be a decal? Do you want the face to be indented into the geometry? Do you want this little handle to be removable? Do you want, these toys glued in, or are they actual extra pieces that come with the toy? These are all added costs, and all will affect how the manufacturer will suggest things to you. So keep those in mind. All right, moving on to model creation. So this part will affect different people in different ways. We sell 3D assets on our website. I know 3D very well. So I was able to take my sketch, mock it up in 3D, and then even render it in 3D with realistic lighting to really know what I was getting myself into at the end of the day with this toy and what it would look like. If you do not know 3D, feel free to reach out to us, ask us any questions. Maybe we can do some work for you or point you in the right direction. There's some good websites out there. I mean, Behance, etc. You can always search on creative directories and find individual freelancers. Upwork, I've had friends who've had a lot of success with Upwork. You can kind of hire freelancers and select which areas you want to hire them from and for what price point. So if you're really trying to budget for this toy, I think Upwork is a great option. Okay, up next is the factory process. So you don't need to come with a 3D toy model in hand to get a quote from a factory, but I would suggest doing so because I think in the factory world, there's probably ones that are going to work with you based off a sketch. They might even 3D model it for you, but I think there's a lot of value in working outside of the factory, maybe directly with a freelancer to get your 3D object done. Maybe they can send that object to a 3D printer for you. You can have it in hand, really understand the dimensions you're going for and the pieces and parts that you want on this thing before starting with the factory, who at the end of the day, are going to want you to have so many units, and most of these factories are overseas if you are in the United States. So anything you can control locally and really understand before, starting a more global process, I highly suggest doing. So the way I went about finding a factory was going on AlibabaExpress.com. Alibaba is basically like a giant global manufacturing marketplace that you can pretty much get anything on. I think you can, buy an airplane if you want. Yeah, here you go. You can buy 1 to 4 $200,000 units of ultralight personal aircraft if you'd like. So there's that. We're not looking for that today. We are looking for vinyl toy custom. And I put custom especially because, you can buy a bag full of random vinyl toys, but you really want to get your custom project done. The UI is kind of intense here, but on the left-hand side, you'll have a lot of different things like trade insurance, and it's a verified supplier. So I would check those on. And then also down here, I highly suggest looking into certifications. So a lot of these certifications, ASTM, CE, and EN71, are kind of like health and safety standards or toy safety standards of the EU. So I would suggest checking those on, doing your own research on those as well. I did a lot of research on the different types of factories and which ones to go with because I really wanted to give my business to a factory that was running things well and met adequate safety standards. So here you go. You can go through these. Just because it has a picture of a chicken egg toy does not mean that's the one you have to get. As you can see, if I click in custom vinyl toy makers, so they kind of give you a breakdown of a price. The thing you mainly want to watch here is the minimum pieces amount. So it looks like on this egg chicken thing, the minimum amount of pieces you're required to order is 2,000 of them. And maybe this is just me, but your first time creating a vinyl toy, I'm probably not going to sell 2,000 of them. So I was looking more in the 100 range, and that has served me really well. So just make sure, right here, you can see 2,000 pieces minimum order, 100 pieces minimum order. So there's a great one. This, I don't know why this picture is making me uncomfortable. I'm not going with that one. Let's go with 30 pieces minimum order. Wow, I didn't even see that one. That's pretty awesome. So this one says 30 pieces minimum order. I might go with this one. I might contact the supplier over here. Contact supplier, you send a message out, wait for their response, and then you start the discussion from there and talk about money, etc. I sent messages out to like 6 factories that I thought looked pretty good, had good ratings, met safety standards, etc. So I'd suggest doing so as well, just so you can price check them against one another and not just go with, exactly what the first company says your price should be. For transparency's sake, here is what I paid per unit. It was about $38 per unit. Hopefully you guys get a way better deal than me and you can make fun of me in the comments section for paying this much, but this felt fairly comfortable and we listed it on our website for $60 plus shipping. Again, we weren't trying to make a ton of money here. We were just trying to create something we'd always wanted to make, which was a soft vinyl toy, and maybe make a little bit money back for the time we invested in this thing. The initial prototype cost us $300. Now, I was pretty impressed with this. They 3D printed the model we sent over and, sent us photos all along the way. So here you can see the grayscale matte painted model. They sent us that. They sent us the faceplate to make sure we were happy with the faceplate first. They sent us this soda can reference model, which I loved. Really helped me grasp how large this thing was. And then from there, they wanted Pantone colors picked out for exactly what color we wanted each part of the toy painted. So this is an area where I feel like I kind of messed up on first. I picked out some Pantone colors online. I picked out Pantone 4054C. And as you can see on the right-hand side, what it came out as was this like deep maroon color. And that wasn't really what I was going for. So if you have a Pantone book or you go to like Lowe's or Home Depot or anything like that, they have Pantone books, I believe. I would highly suggest going in person and like picking out your color because you'll just have a lot more accurate results. There's a little bit of back and forth here, but we eventually landed on one I liked. Again, they sent me measurement pictures along the way, so I knew exactly what I was getting into, and it was a pretty great process. From there, they shipped it out to me. That took, a few days to get there, but it was nicely bubble wrapped. It was all protected, and I got to inspect the prototype in person. And then, as you can see in these photos, there were some weird paint marks on the face. There was some glue smudges on the sides. There was a little bit of unevenness at the bottom. And these are just all things, even if it seems picky, you really need to point out to double check and make sure that this isn't going to end up in the final soft vinyl toy. Even though this is a completely different material, I just really wanted to make sure, let them know I'm seeing these things. I'm unhappy with these things. For our final, it definitely needs to be fixed. I even circled the cheek painting to show them, I see the cheek painting is not lined up right. So let's make sure they're all exactly the same. And then, they had a few notes back and forth. Do you want the handle to be rotating in the toolbox? Or do you want it glued in? So we really dialed in the final form of this thing before going into mass production. Let's jump back to our price breakdown sheet here. So that was the initial prototype. What's cool here is you're going to get a little toy in hand. It's not going to be perfect, but maybe that's going to fulfill the need of having your creation in your hand. And you're going to be like, you know what? That was an expensive toy I just made, but I'm stopping at the initial prototype. And now I have one I can show my friends and family before I made the mistake of spending $3,000 on 100 of these things. So that's kind of the good part of it. And then if you want to move on to this next part, the mold and mass production is what cost me $3,000. So the mold is actually like a metal injected mold that all of these things will be made from. And that, I believe, was almost maybe $1,750 of the cost. So if I was to go back to this company and say, hey, I want another round of 100 of these, they already have that mold saved and ready to go. So I will only be paying at the unit price at that point. I won't be paying for the mold or anything, which is good news if you're, selling out of these heavily on your website. So I said, green light, let's go ahead, mold and mass production. Here we go. While that started, they asked, okay, what do you want to do about packaging? So they sent this lower left-hand corner photo. They had some different options. I wanted to go with one of the cheapest ones, which was the paper colored box with the blister inside. So I went with that. They gave me some exact dimensions, and then I mocked up this in Illustrator and did the whole design in Illustrator exactly with like red lining and die lining. There's some templates online that you can probably find if you're unfamiliar with packaging, or again, Upwork or something like that. I'm sure there's people out there who can do some great design work for you. But again, packaging cost me $500, and I ended up getting way more units of packaging than the 100 vinyl toys I ordered. So I definitely think, looking back, I could have saved a lot of money here by maybe doing something more local or just dialing that in heavily beforehand. But you live and you learn, and I was happy with how it all turned out. During this whole mass production portion, they were definitely sending me stills and videos all along the way. As you can see, here's a bunch of the faces separated out. Here's kind of a final connected and put together toolbox. There's a lot of in between here. I had to correct them on some things on the face. But overall, it was fairly smooth. And there was a little mishap with the box. You can see, I think this is actually the one where the Happy Toolbox logo was like way too close to the top for what I actually sent. So you just got to really watch those things and try the best you can to discern what is wrong in these photos and videos they send. But for the most part, it was pretty smooth. And the final section, finalizing your toy. So this was just wrapping up shipping details and the final money amount I had to send. This is an important note. I had to actually go to the bank and wire transfer money to their company. So I don't believe a lot of these places on Alibaba, they do some of the expenses through Alibaba, but a lot of them want like a full chunk wire transfer, which was, it's a little bit scary at first, but again, if you vetted your companies really well, there shouldn't be a problem. And after a few days, I got this nice big DHL package in the mail and got to open it up and see all these happy smiling faces at me, and got to see this dream of a soft vinyl toy fulfilled. And yeah, here is the final product. And it turned out exactly how I wanted it. It was the right size, proportions. It was just like the prototype they sent over, but it has that beautiful soft vinyl toy texture and, didn't look painted at all. It looked baked into the material. Yeah, extremely happy with how it turned out. And then we put it up on our website. Again, not to make a crazy profit, but just to share this exciting creature we had created. And I got to do the best part of the whole project, which was take photos of this tiny brand new Toolbox toy in my backyard. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope this shed a little bit of light on the vinyl toy creation process. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section. If you'd like to like this video and subscribe to our channel, that would help us out a ton. And yeah, if you're interested in buying this little dude, he's on our website in the merch section. Or if you're interested in any 3D assets, we have over 500 of them at thehappytoolbox.com. All right, I'll see you guys next time.